Hi and welcome to the second episode of my podcast Fitness, Business and Mindset. Today I have the honor to talk with Aleksandar Bajin, tennis coach. For a coach, he is young, but he has more than 15 years on WTA tour, and he has worked with top level tennis players, and he has lots of tennis results behind him. So Sasha, you are more than 15 years on the WTA tour. How much women tennis changed in this period, and how much tennis players changed? Because there are more distraction, there are more social networks than 15 years ago. Everything is more global, more sponsors, more big contracts. Probably all this has some kind of influence on tennis players, especially for the young ones.
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, happy to be here. And absolutely, so times have changed, and the biggest difference that I've realized now from 15 years ago to where I started is that actually the knowledge has changed a lot. So meaning that a lot more information is accessible to a lot more people. Before I felt like only the top people really had like the top knowledge of when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to what exercises are the best, when it comes to coaching, to mental part. So now with information being around us everywhere and way easier accessible, I feel like that for sure has changed the game and leveled the field a little bit more. That's why I believe there is not just one dominant figure anymore like it used to be, but that especially on the women's side, we see a lot more girls being able to win a lot of slams. As far as that goes, then obviously for these young girls nowadays, I think that opens up a whole different chapter. That's their whole progress of keeping the information, of trying to be patient, of having social media around you. How much does that influence these young girls and their way of thinking? But overall, if I would have to like make a point, I would say that within the last 15 years, the game has been leveled way more because of the way the informations are coming in, rackets, everything else is way more easier accessible. So for sure, way more even playing field than it used to be.
Okay. Nice question, and a nice answer. So I think you will all understand not just tennis, all the other sports are evolving, and everything is like more intensity. I'm talking also as a fitness coach. Like 15 years ago, there was like less training, it was less volume of training, less intensity, but now everything is going more and more. I don't know where it will be stopped, but for now it's growing. The next question is, what is the difference in training methods and in approach when you coach young tennis player, for example, a girl that is 18, 19, 20 years old, or when you coach older, like 29, 30 years and older? Because I think like maybe for some tennis coaches it's easier to coach younger, for some others it's easier to coach older, but you had experience with the younger and older, and you with them making great results. So what is some advices that you can guys give us, or some guidelines for the younger players, for older players?
So yeah, there is a big difference if you work with younger or older players. I had the pleasure of working with a Serena Williams, who at the time was, when I started, she was 25 and we worked for 8 years together. So of course you have to take a different approach with her than you do with someone else who is 18, 17 at that time, because I feel like that these younger girls, you really have to have a little bit more patience. You have to explain certain things, why you do them, because they really need to be taught. Okay, so they haven't figured everything out yet. They just don't know what works for them, what advice is good, what advice isn't good, because a lot of times what we coaches do wrong is that we believe because one thing worked for one player, we want to put that same system onto another player. And so that becomes complicated. Not only that everybody has a different personality and everybody takes information a different way, just because I tell Serena something, and if, I don't know, Naomi would have the same problem, and I tell both girls exactly the same thing, one person would improve quicker than the other. Why? Because she takes my information differently. So that's coming to us, back then to us coaches, and trying to understand how we can help that person the most. And with younger girls, for sure, you want to explain a little bit more why you do certain stuff and when and how, rather than just telling them. So I always like to say that there's a difference between teaching and telling someone what to do and understanding why they do it. And the moment they do understand why they do it, progress becomes way quicker and it becomes more effortless. That's why these older players, they can work so much more efficient and they get so much more out of the day because they know exactly what time they need to wake up, when they would like to eat, how long the cool down needs to be, what they need in order to get the best out of them. They have a routine already set up to where the younger girls or boys, they all seem kind of lost and they waste a lot of energy throughout the day on trying to find it and then being ultimately able to work way more efficient.
Yes, you told me once that it's like there is a way to coach everybody. So just I think it's a challenge for a coach to find the good method, something that is working for one person. It doesn't need to work for somebody else. And also, you know, the best coaches with the best players maybe are not the best solution for somebody else. Like I was talking also with some other coaches, they gave me the same answer. Also, I was talking with some coaches when the parents asked them for young ages like 12, 13, 14, they said, I don't know how to work with them because they were experts with the older players. So it's like it's like normal. So there is one question that is it has connection with that. What kind of problem can have young player if she or him, but we are talking more about female tennis player, if she makes big results early, and how to deal with that? In the past, there were lots of good players who didn't achieve what they were capable of, and they did like big results early. So what are the steps or some guidance for this kind of players?
Yeah, this is very difficult nowadays because of a lot of different reasons. I always want to think that there's two types of people. One who has success and tastes it and then starting to like it and wants more. And then there's the other type of person who does have success and then kind of lays back on it and dwells a little bit in the past. Not even knowing that they do that. Okay, this is not something they do on purpose. This is all subconsciously happening. So some people would just push harder and some people just maybe, tend to be with a full belly already on the couch, if I have to be really, really rude. But it all comes down to the environment, to the people you surround yourself. So that's where these people become your key anchor. Okay, so you always want to have a couple of people you can rely on no matter what. And this can be your coach, this can be your friend, this can be your mother, this can be your father, your uncle. It doesn't matter who, as long as it's someone you truly trust and you can be open with. So that if they see you drifting off in a way where you don't want to be drifting off after you have a great amount of success, you have to understand that these guys then will tell you maybe what you don't want to hear in that moment, but what you need to hear. And it's up to these young people to keep an open mind and understand that this is what they're trying to do, that they're just trying to help. Now, the only thing where this gets a little bit confusing is if the player doesn't know what they really want after they even had success, because sometimes then they still go in and they say, no, I still want this. I want to be number one again. I want to win another slam. I want to do this. I want to do that. But meanwhile, they're not really willing to prepare and do everything they need to do in order to get there. Because me as a coach, I can also only lay out the plan and do certain suggestions and recommend, if you want to do this, I recommend you doing A, B, C, and D. If you want that, I recommend you do D, E, F, and G. And then whatever works best for that player is something we have to find together. But nowadays, it's very, very difficult because of, tennis, first of all, is a very, very fast moving sport where we can win a slam. Everybody loves you. And the next week you play another tournament and you lose first round. And then you have to go on Instagram and see that 10,000 people write you that you suck, that you're bad, that you're worthless, that you're useless. That's where then also self-doubt can come in for these younger girls or younger guys, that they maybe think, oh my God, maybe it was just a one-time wonder. Maybe I am not worth that much, because tennis is moving so quick that you can't really be happy about the one slam. because the next tournament is already around the corner. So that's where then I say these people around you come very important, that they feed into your confidence, or if you are too overconfident, that they kind of put you down to planet Earth so that it remains in balance. Yeah, you kind of need to surround yourself with people who understand that and to be able to guide you. And whatever you are missing, that other half, this yin and yang situation, whatever this other half is missing, that they provide it for you. And this can be anybody. Like I said, this can be your mother, father, best friend. It doesn't matter who, as long as you trust that person and open up to them.
This was a great answer. So there's no just formula. I think that people are trying to find a perfect formula, but you need to adapt to the situation.
If there was a perfect formula, we would write a book about it.
We'll get millions with this kind of formula.
It's not because of madness. No, sadly not.
Yeah. There is one more question. I know that the technical and tactical part and also level of fitness have major influence for success in tennis, but what about the mental part, emotional part? Lately, we can see lots of players, they crack under pressure, crying during tennis matches and so on. They stop from tennis. And what do you think is the reason, and can you propose some solution? Because I think it's not just a solution, okay, I take the mental coach, I will be okay. So I think the coach and the environment can help a lot. So what's your solution? What's your ideas about that?
Yeah, so the way I always would approach some sort of mental struggle, if I know my player has a certain, I don't want to call it fear, but let's say anxiety about a certain issue, whether that's on court or off court, my first thought is always to face it head on. Okay, let's say I'm afraid of the dentist. I really hate it. I'm afraid of the dentist. But once I leave the office, I actually remember always it not being too bad after all. It's okay. But I know the next time I'm about to go in there, I'm going to be scared shitless again. So having said that, that's kind of this head-on confrontation for me. So what I would propose to a lot of players or coaches out there is try to find a certain environment that your player is not really comfortable or has this type of anxiety. Then what you do is you limit that environment. You tear it all the way down, okay? Like you lower the anxiety by an exercise or by difficulties, and you slowly make them comfortable with the uncomfortable, but you have them put them in this position, because if you just keep avoiding it, it's just gonna bulk up and it's gonna get worse, okay? That's number one. So if I can use an example where I played or I worked with Naomi, my example was she was very shy and she was afraid of the outside world. Now, what did I do? I tried to make her more comfortable with the outside world. Why? Because I thought this would help her show her true personality in the matches as well, and would help her open up a lot more. So how did I do that? I tried to create little mini challenges where a certain punishment on court, and that's where I would set myself up for failure as well, so that she sees that even if I do it, there's nothing bad about it, nothing changes. So once, here's a funny story, I actually lost a game 2-11 against Naomi, and I had to actually go on court of Jamie Murray. They were practicing next to us. It was Andy Murray's brother and some other guys. They were practicing a doubles match, and I had to start dancing. I had to completely embarrass myself. So with this embarrassment, what I can show is that a lot of times players, when they are on court and their performance is not where they need to be, and they are in a big match and it's not going well, they do feel embarrassed because people are watching them. And then their mind starts wondering more about what do these other people think about me, rather than how can I fix this? How can I get myself out of this position? So that's where a lot of coaches, I feel like, also are a little bit guilty, because they don't want this confrontation. They don't want to put their players in an uncomfortable position enough, because they're afraid that this would cause some sort of disturbance between them, and that would cause them to lose their job. But ultimately, if we as coaches don't do that, and we don't try to strive to put our player in uncomfortable positions and try to practice in a way that our player is playing matches, then we kind of stopped and we kind of gave up. And I think that that's, for a coach, is the death sentence, and that's the worst thing we can do. So if I can, there is a way for everything. There's a solution for every problem. We've established that before. But I really, really, really think that nowadays we have to be more like confrontational in a healthy way, okay? Not meaning to just go against certain things, but just to be more comfortable with the uncomfortable. And as soon as we do that, our brain it cannot separate if that uncomfortable position is in the gym or if it's in a bar or if it's somewhere. It just knows you overcame something you did not like to do. The moment you're capable of doing that on small steps, small stages, everywhere around on a daily basis, I guarantee you're going to be able to do that in a match where things matter the most. But it's not a switch that you can turn on and off. So it's something for sure that we have to practice, that we have as coaches, we have to put our players into these positions that are, of course, in a controlled environment and to the benefit of our player, that they clearly understand why we're doing this and why we're doing what, so that they can understand the struggle and the progress. But without struggle, there is no progress. That's why, same as for mentally as physically, they need to struggle in order to progress through this.
This was a great lesson. You need to struggle for everything. And you need to struggle in life, you struggle in the business, but also you struggle in the sport. I think the sport is like imitation of life. One question that is personally to me very interesting. It's like, what is the secret why some players keep the same level of game and high level of playing and the others don't have so much consistency? You have some players, they make good results and then they're like, you know, they make big results, but after that they don't do it again. So if you can do it once, it looks you can do it again. So for example, if you are lifting bench press 150 kilos, okay, you can do it again. So for sport, if you do semifinals, finals, or you are like top 10, after that you go down, you come back to top 10. So what's the reason? What to do to keep the same level?
Yeah, once again, if there's a multiple, if we could write a formula, we write this book and we become millionaires. But I think there's a lot of points that go into it. It starts from, once again, if you have success, how bad do you want to stay there? Because it's the hardest thing to do is to stay, okay? It's easy to have it once, to get up, it's all on the rise. But once you're up there, especially in a sport where it's one-on-one tennis, you get analyzed, okay? All of a sudden you have a target on your back, people start analyzing your game, they start analyzing your weakness, they really go into you and trying to find out how they beat you. So for sure, staying up there is going to be harder than coming up, because then people don't pay so much attention to you. All of a sudden they know what you don't like, they know what you do like. So that's one. Plus the expectations from the outside world are coming in, your own expectations. And that's where setting goals comes in, is very important, because I believe that if you don't set goals, or you set your goals wrong, you set them too high because you won one slam, now for sure I'm going to win the other one, and I have to do this, I have to do that. A lot of people set goals wrong so that they focus on the result itself and not what got them there, okay? So they just see the goal, but they forget the path. And they forget all these little steps that you need to do in order to really maintain like this consistency, to maintain your level. So one advice for those people, if they are on top, is like, a lot of times, don't change what's working, okay? Don't change your winning way. Just because you're number one now doesn't mean, or you won a slam, or you do this, doesn't mean all of a sudden this is no good anymore, that is no good anymore. This got you here, let's stick with this. Let's see how long we can do this to keep there. If we feel the struggle slowly coming, then we can always try to evolve and do something else. But I feel like people they have a tendency to switch to something too quick. And it comes down to how bad do you want it? You know, it's very easy to want something for 1 week or for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. It's very, very hard to, you know, if you tell someone to diet, it's very easy to diet for 1 day and to eat clean for 1 day. It's very hard to do it every single day, day after day, day after day. And the moment we get up, we have always two choices. One is hard, one is easy, one is right, one is wrong. And then it's entirely up to you how long you can keep this consistency, how long you're going to be able to wake up a little bit earlier to make yourself breakfast. How long do you want to do the right warm-up and the right cool down and not go out, see your friends, but you go to bed early because you know you have practice on Monday. So it just comes down to your priorities, to your goal settings, and to not forget what got you there. And yeah, obviously you do also need a little bit of luck so we don't get injured, hopefully.
Of course, but in the end, like you said, the motivation, the habit, discipline, these are all things that you need if you want to be successful in every job, especially in sport.
Absolutely, but that's also leading to that. Sorry to add to this, because that's where I think, like, we as coaches also, I do believe that we make one mistake, and a lot of times we push someone, which is way harder than to pull someone with you. Okay, I always think that, like, pushing, like, for us as coaches, like, pushing is the easiest thing to do because you just tell them what to do. But pulling someone with you, with your energy, you know, to diet with them, to work out with them, to just give is so much harder. But pull will always last longer than push. There's something.
So you told me now the answer for my next question, also, but there are some more. How to make a good relationship and trust between coach and the player? Is there some secrets that you can share with us? Because it's not like just you are coach, you choose some exercises, you go to the tennis course. There is much more. So to somebody believes you, to somebody to trust the process and everything. What you as a coach, what you need to do to make this, like, I don't know, some energy, some chemistry between, some connection.
So I always believe that the first step in sort of trust from between a coach and a player's relationship has to be us as coaches coming to the players, okay? Because I see the player as a boss. No matter how old they are, if it's a 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, they pay our bills. Ultimately, if we are really open about it, they pay our bills, they are the boss, and we have to do the first step in showing them that we want this to work, okay? So it's very easy to find something to bond with over your player, okay? It could be anything. It could be music, it could be TV shows, it could be a movie, it could be shopping, it could be anything. It could be some sort of social media. I do believe that if the age gap is not too big, there's something that every player is interested in sharing with their coach if we are just not too lazy to look for that, okay? Because we do spend a lot of time with our players. I've had that year with Naomi, I had from November to November, I had 13 days without her. So obviously, if you're on a private, if you're on a private basis, don't get along with your player, it's also very hard to accept advice from them. So I always want to think that there is a way to bond with your player, to make a certain connection through something, but it's really up to the coach to find out what it is, because it could be the priority is different for everybody. And I've also had players where, for example, Caroline Wozniacki, she did not want anything, you know, like we had a connection. Of course we did. With her, it was more through workouts because she's really active, which was really fun for me. But she wanted to have the least amount of interaction off court as possible, to where maybe some other player, they want to feel mothered, they want to feel cared about, they want to have this nonstop attention. So it kind of is up to us to just make sure that we realize that we keep an open mind, and to absolutely not take anything personal. Because one thing we have to understand is that sometimes players, they like to vent, they like to open up about something. And once they do, it's actually a good thing if they come and complain to you about something, because it means that they trust you, and better that they come complain to you about it than to someone else. So be happy that they do.
So for this, it's just not enough to know, you know, the tennis and to know the fitness in my case. So you need to have some wisdom, some experience to do some relationship, and also I think it's important for the young coaches to hang out a little bit with the older coaches, with the coaches with experience, so they can tell you some things like you told us now, because I can't read some of these things in the book. So I think it's very important
people knowledge.
People knowledge. Yeah.
Small example, like Naomi was so shy. She was an extreme case. Okay, she was so shy. She didn't really want to talk with me about anything, just because she was so shy. And I couldn't just come up to her in the morning and talk about tennis. Okay, I had to ease my way in very slowly. So I asked her, like, you know, are you watching any TV shows? Because I like to watch Netflix myself, or some TV shows, whatever. And in her case, it was a Japanese anime. Okay, so to show her like that I actually genuinely care about what she thinks and what she likes, because I wanted to understand her, I watched I think it was like 40 episodes of Japanese cartoons, okay? coincidentally, I actually really started liking that. I actually really started liking it. So the next day when I showed up at practice and I go, by the way, thank you for suggesting Death Note for the TV series. I actually really liked it. I can't believe Suko did this and this episode was crazy. And I saw her opening up and not believing actually that I watched the episode. Like she couldn't believe it. And then from there we started, she talked with me a little bit. And then from there, slowly I went into tennis and I took this conversation to a place that I wanted to go in the first place, but I couldn't because she wasn't as open to me. But that's how I found a way in. And I believe there's a way about anything. You could watch if some of your tennis players, I don't know, they like soccer. There was a good soccer match. Even if I don't like soccer, I'm going to turn soccer and I'm going to come the next day and say, hey, my God, did you see yesterday Bayern Munich played Real Madrid? They played for some young boy. This goal was crazy. Maybe they like soccer. And they're like, yeah. And then you talk. And then from there, by the way, so about today, if it's okay, because they already loosened up, you lure them into a conversation and you go, by the way, today, yesterday your short cross-court angles weren't working so good. Do you think we can do So you just don't bombard them immediately with the first question, but you kind of use a backdoor and leave the way open for something else.
So obviously you find a way for everything, but also this is a sacrifice of the coach, because not every coach is, ready like you to watch 50 episodes of some cartoon or something. So this is also the coach's job. It's not just, the part with the tennis. So this is, if you want to have a great success, you need to find a way like Sasha. Now, the one question for you. I know that you are a gym guy. You go hard in the gym. You have proper nutrition, supplements, everything. No, not almost. It's 100% like a top level athlete. So what's the reason for that? Is there a pure aesthetic reason, or you want to be capable to do sparrings with your player because you are playing, you are giving 100% on the tennis court? And do you think that every coach on the tour needs to be fit in order to deal with physical and mental stress of coaching? So because it's not easy traveling, it's not easy to deal with losing the match, winning. There is all the emotions. So I think maybe it's very important to be fit.
So yeah, it's very important to be fit. I am okay. If I have to be completely honest, I started my own gym journey because of looks. Okay, I was young. I was 22 years old. I started heavy lifting. But having said that, I 100% believe in practice what you preach. Okay, you're in our team. You're in our team, and you know that if something like, let's say we were in Wimbledon. Okay, we were in Wimbledon. We were driving for an hour, a little bit over an hour from the hotel to the tournament site in a bus. Okay, I didn't want my player to be on the phone because it would mess up her equilibrium and she would be, not as sharp, not as visual. The reaction would be a little slower because she would look 1 hour during a drive on the phone. So I'm the type of guy that if she doesn't look at her phone, I don't look at her phone. Okay, that's where this pull is coming in, and which I think is way more effective than push. Plus, if your player sees that you struggle with them, that you you go above and beyond, I do believe that trust comes quicker your way, and I do want to hope that they put 1% more in. Yeah, if she sees, okay, listen, my coach doesn't need to do this. He's sacrificing so much. He's working hard. He's eating this. I think I can push a little bit harder too. If there is just a little bit of doubt, that your player could do 1% more here, 1% more there, or it would be easier for her to eat clean if we all eat clean, or if we don't look at our phones, then we have to do it. And I sadly, when it comes to coaching, is one big thing that I don't understand is there's a lot of coaches who are young, but they start hiring hitting partners and they start standing behind the player and they don't hit with them anymore all of a sudden because they're getting too comfortable. Now, when a player plays a match, your opponent is on the other side of the court, then why would the coach 2 hours, and I know a lot of coaches who don't ever once go on the other side unless they feed balls. But when a player plays points, they always stay behind that player, watching them from the back, not seeing what the opponent sees. So not being able to see tendencies. If she displays, she's going to go cross court or she is going to go line. If she telegraphs where she serves because her toss is too much to the side, the coach can't even see that. Why? Because he's standing behind her, not in front where the player would be, so that they can have the same visual like the opponent does. So that's something that always has been a mystery to me. And for as long as, God lets me and my knees let me, I will try to obviously be 100% for playing and for pushing my player and to be an example in dieting, in nutrition. And I believe that our players can only benefit if there is someone else on the other side of the court or behind her that she knows that's physically stronger, or that at least, if not that, at least sacrifices the same amount what she does.
100% with you. Like they say, lead from the front.
Lead by example.
Lead by example, yes.
Yes.
And the last question is, maybe it's the most important question. What would you suggest to the coaches, especially the young coaches who are just starting to work in tennis, but they have big ambitions, they want to achieve big goals, they want to feel that passion of big results and everything. What to do and what not to do if they want to become one day like top level coaches?
So if you want to become a top level coach, like here's one good advice that came to me out of a necessity because I had no other choice. Don't stop learning is the biggest thing. Meaning, you need to learn about, if you want to learn about this sport, you need to know about the sport. Meaning you need to know about the courts, you need to know about rackets, you need to know about strings, you need to know about balls. So I sadly had to string rackets because I had to make money, and I didn't make money enough playing that I could just live comfortably off of it. So I had to string rackets. So I understand why certain strings are better for some players, why not this string, why is this tension, why this grip C is no good, why that grip C. I had to build tennis courts because I had to make money off of it. So all of these things, the more you understand about your sport, that's why I want to use, if I can use an example, with like Michael Schumacher was so long one of the best drivers in the world because he understood almost everything about his own car. He was like a car mechanic. And he was a driver and his own mechanic. The moment he wouldn't feel something right to the car, he would go back and spend time in his shop with the team, telling them what doesn't feel right. So confront yourself with the sport, try to watch other players, try to get every single information. And just because someone maybe isn't on your level, know that you can learn from everybody and anybody. You just don't copy it, but filter it out. I have to admit it, I've been guilty of it too. I go around the court sometimes, I see a good exercise and I think, this could work for me, but you just package it a little bit different to a point where certain things work for you. So yeah, try to keep an open eye and don't be too good for yourself. String rackets, build courts, all this will pay up later. I guarantee it for you. And if you're young, traveling is always something good, different cultures, different personalities. You will always learn more about yourself in every new situation you put yourself into than about the other person. So go out there, travel, see other players, how the people train in Spain. They practice different than the people in the Czech Republic, than the Germans, than the Swedish. They all have their systems. Get everything together, package it, brand it, what works for you, and then attack the world with it.
Thank you, Sasha, for being guest in my podcast. I'm sure 100% this is helpful, not just for coaches, for athletes and for other persons that are involved or in business or some other kind of sport or the job. So I think it will bring value to their life, and I hope lots of you who are listening to this, that you will change your looking at some things like sport, like coaching, and I hope this episode it will help you. So please share it with some people, with some friends that you think that will help them also.